hell can silence them damn bars?
Man.
Nobody can silence them
Man.
bars.
What are we talking about here?
Well, okay, so let's back it up. So Nicki Minaj did a verse on the Carter 6, the bonus version of the album.
Yeah.
It's called Banned from NO, the remix. Let's take a listen to her verse.
I could tap you slides when you do is flip flop. If I send a pic of Shannon, you ain't that sharp. Still can't spell pug, and that's horrible. Lazy F, baby, and the F is for phenomenal. Man, already fading like a barber. They know it don't decline, so they never face Carter. French vanilla hazelnut in my Starbucks. NFL fire some and then call us.
So she says, NFL fire some N-words and then call us. Now, the song is called Banned from NO, Banned from New Orleans. And, they're throwing shots at the NFL because, remember Nicki Minaj spoke out when Lil Wayne didn't get his chance to perform. At Super Bowl. So she's on Twitter all weekend and she's hashtagging or mentioning as she's doing some of these tweets, NFL fire some N-words and then the phone for call us.
Just say this, every label passed up on me. Every record company passed up on me. Every crew, I'm from New York. Jay's crew and 50's crew didn't sign me. I wasn't signed to Nas and, or I wasn't signed to anybody,
So tell me about your relationship with Beyonce, because she's on a track here.
Everybody asks me that.
Well, then I should know.
No, it's a dope relationship. I mean, obviously I look up to her, and I was so shocked to find out that she was like a fan of my work.
Right.
And so she reached out months ago for me to get on the remix to Flawless. And she said, I'll do something for your album as well. And I didn't believe it until I saw it. So I never told anybody about it. I just kept it a big secret. And then she sent me Feeling Myself. She said, there's a record that I think we might, sound good together on. And I heard it, and I took a while, but finally I got it to a place where I felt like I loved it. And then she took it back and did some changes. And I think it's just a real woman power type relationship.
Right.
Where every time I speak to her, I learn something.
But, I mean,
Now, you've also said that Jay-Z, Foxy Brown, and Lil Wayne were some of your biggest influences when you were coming up. What did each of them have that you wanted to emulate?
Jay-Z, business savvy. Foxy Brown, immaculate delivery. Lil Wayne, trendsetter.
Nicki Minaj or Cardi B?
Sometimes a rap beef stays on social media. A few insults, a few memes, maybe a diss track or two, and then it fades away. But every once in a while, something happens that pushes a feud way past music. Something that turns a simple online argument into a full-blown industry spectacle. And that's exactly what people think might be happening right now between 50 Cent and T.I. Because what started as trolling and a challenge over a Verzuz battle has suddenly taken a much darker turn. According to 50 Cent himself, he may be working on a documentary that could dig deep into the controversies surrounding T.Y. and his wife Tamika Tiny Harris. And if that documentary actually drops, it could turn one of hip-hop's messiest feuds into something far bigger than anyone expected. But the wild part? This whole situation didn't start with allegations, documentaries, or scandals. It started with a challenge, and the moment that challenge went public, the tension between these two rap veterans started building fast. The drama really began when T.I. publicly called out 50 Cent for a battle on Verzuz. At the time, Verzuz battles were one of the biggest events in hip-hop culture. Artists went head-to-head playing their biggest hits, while fans debated who really had the stronger catalog. T.I. believed he was the perfect opponent for 50 Cent. Both had massive influence in the early 2000s. Both had legendary hits, and both had reputations for dominating the charts during their prime. But 50 didn't see it that way. Instead of accepting the challenge, he brushed it off publicly. He said the Verzuz concept made sense during the pandemic, when everyone was stuck at home looking for entertainment. But now, the moment had passed. To some fans, it sounded like he simply wasn't interested. To others, it sounded like a subtle way of saying the matchup didn't make sense. But T.I. didn't stop pushing. He kept bringing it up in interviews, podcasts, conversations with other artists, and eventually, 50 Cent responded the way he always does. Not with music, with trolling, memes started popping up on his social media, jokes about the challenge, comments that made it clear he wasn't taking the idea seriously. At first, it was just typical internet banter. But then, something happened that took things from playful to personal. Because instead of focusing only on T.I., 50 Cent made a post that involved someone else entirely, T.I.'s wife. And that's when the entire situation exploded. The moment Tamika Tiny Harris became part of the conversation, the tone of the feud shifted. 50 posted an image online that many people felt was meant to mock Tiny. And while social media is used to celebrity drama, bringing family members into the mix rarely ends well, especially in hip-hop. And in this case, the Harris family didn't stay silent. T.I.'s sons quickly stepped in to defend their mother. One of them, King Harris, took things straight to social media. His message was clear. If anyone was going to come for his family, they were going to get a response. Soon after that, diss tracks started appearing online. Another son, Domani Harris, reportedly dropped a track that fans believed was aimed directly at 50. And just like that, what started as a back and forth between two rappers turned into something much bigger. Now it wasn't just artist versus artist, it was an entire family entering the conversation. But one moment during the online exchanges shocked people the most. At one point, insults referencing 50 Cent's late mother started circulating during the feud. And for many fans watching the drama unfold, that crossed a line. Because in hip-hop culture, certain topics are considered deeply personal. And once those lines are crossed, things rarely go back to normal. But while the internet expected 50 to respond with a diss track or another wave of trolling, he hinted at something completely different, something nobody saw coming. Instead of firing back with music, 50 Cent posted a message that immediately caught everyone's attention. In the post, he suggested he might be working on a documentary connected to T.I. and Tiny. And the wording of the message made it sound like this project wouldn't be a friendly biography or career celebration. It sounded like an exposé, a deep dive into controversies surrounding the couple. The moment fans saw that hint online, the reaction was immediate. Because documentaries have become one of the most powerful forms of storytelling in modern entertainment. A diss track might trend for a few days. But a documentary, that can dominate headlines for months. And when people thought about who was behind the idea, it suddenly made sense. Because 50 Cent isn't just a rapper anymore. Over the past decade, he's quietly built a reputation as one of the most successful producers in entertainment. And that's where this situation gets even more interesting. Long before this feud started, 50 Cent had already proven he knows how to turn drama into content. He's been involved in major television projects, producing shows that became cultural hits and streaming sensations. In other words, he understands something many rappers don't. Controversy sells. And when controversy meets storytelling, it becomes entertainment. That's why the documentary rumor spread so quickly online. Fans began speculating that this wasn't just trolling. They wondered if 50 might actually turn the drama into a full project, something that could end up on a major streaming platform. And if that happened, it wouldn't just be another rap feud, it would become a global story. But the reason this documentary idea caused such an explosion online has everything to do with something that happened years earlier. Something that already brought T.I. and Tiny into the spotlight. Back in 2021, several accusations began circulating online involving T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris. Various individuals came forward with claims connected to alleged misconduct tied to parties and other situations. The allegations spread quickly across social media and news outlets, but the couple strongly denied the accusations. They publicly stated that the claims were false and defended themselves against the narrative that was forming online. For a while, the conversation faded from headlines. But when 50 Cent hinted at a documentary, people immediately connected the dots. Because if a project like that ever explored those allegations in detail, it could reopen one of the most controversial chapters in their public lives. And that's exactly why fans started debating whether this documentary would be journalism or revenge. But there's another reason the rumor caught so much attention. If the project ever becomes real, it could shake the industry in ways people aren't expecting. Documentary storytelling has changed the way audiences look at celebrities. Instead of short interviews or headlines, viewers now get long, detailed narratives that unpack entire situations. And when those stories involve famous figures, the public reaction can be massive. We've seen documentaries dominate streaming platforms overnight. They trend on social media, spark debates, and sometimes reshape how people see certain celebrities. So the idea of someone like 50 Cent producing a documentary about another major rap figure instantly captured attention. Because if it ever released, millions of viewers would tune in just to see what information gets revealed. Some fans think the project could expose things that never fully came to light. Others believe it would simply be an extension of a rap feud taken way too far. But there's one final twist that keeps the entire story unpredictable. No one actually knows if the documentary even exists. Here's the thing about 50 Cent. He's famous for turning social media into a stage. Over the years, he's launched countless viral moments just by posting one cryptic caption. Sometimes those posts lead to real projects. Other times, they're simply designed to stir the internet into a frenzy. And right now, there's still no official announcement from any major network or streaming service confirming a documentary about T.I. and Tiny, which leaves fans with two possibilities. Either 50 Cent really is preparing a project behind the scenes, or he's using the rumor itself as a weapon in the feud, because even the suggestion of a documentary has already done something powerful. It's shifted the conversation. Now, the internet isn't just talking about a versus battle anymore, they're talking about accusations, history, and whether one rap feud is about to turn into something much deeper. And that might have been the plan all along. What started as a simple challenge over a versus battle somehow spiraled into one of the most bizarre rap feuds in recent memory. First came the trolling, then the family involvement, then diss tracks. And now, the possibility of a documentary that could bring years of controversy back into the spotlight. Whether that project ever gets released or not, the mere threat of it has already changed the tone of the entire situation. Because rap beef used to stay in the studio. Now it plays out across social media, television, and potentially full-length films. And if this rumored documentary ever becomes reality, it might mark a new era of hip-hop rivalries. Not just diss tracks, but documentary warfare. So now, the real question is, if that documentary actually drops, will it expose something the world hasn't seen yet? Or will it prove that in today's entertainment industry, the biggest weapon isn't music anymore? It's the story being told.